All cells contain DNA. However, eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells differ in how they hold that DNA. Eukaryotic cells use a two-layered membrane, which we refer to as the nuclear envelope, and the entire structure is referred to as the nucleus. The nucleus also contains another structure called the nucleolus, which is just an overlapping area of chromosomes. All of the portions of the DNA that have to do with making ribosomal RNA and ribosomal proteins are concentrated at the nucleolus. The nucleolus makes parts for ribosomes. The nucleus itself is surrounded by a network of membranes which are referred to as the endoplasmic reticulum. One half of the endoplasmic reticulum is studded with ribosomes, which do the work of translation, taking information in RNA molecules and turning it into polypeptides. This is called the rough endoplasmic reticulum because under a slide it looks as though it would be coarse if you ran your finger over it. Once the polypeptides are made, they are shipped through a transport vesicle to the Golgi apparatus, which is another series of membranes. The Golgi apparatus is responsible for making sure that polypeptides don't fold incorrectly. It modifies and refines and tags and ships cellular products, so it puts the finishing touches on a protein. The other half of the endoplasmic reticulum is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and it's smooth because it doesn't have ribosomes and has nothing to do with making proteins. Instead, it detoxifies the cells and it makes lipids. It makes hormones and phospholipids and all the kinds of lipids of the cell. Now, the endoplasmic reticulum and the cell membrane and the Golgi apparatus are all able to pinch off little vesicles, little transport bubbles of membranes that carry materials elsewhere. These are similar to another concept called a vacuole, but vacuoles are more for long-term storage and they tend to be quite a bit bigger. Vesicles are for transport and they're a little bit smaller. The cytoskeleton is what anchors all of the organelles in place and provides structure. It prevents the cell from being crushed and it prevents it from being pulled apart, which is really important if you're trying to lift up something heavy that your muscle cells wouldn't just tear apart. It's made of microtubules and microfilaments and intermediate filaments. Another structure made out of microtubules are these yellow centrioles, which anchor the cytoskeleton in place, and they have a role in cell division. Then we have the mitochondria. Mitochondria show up in just about all eukaryotic cells. They are the powerhouse of the cell, which really means that they're responsible for aerobic cellular respiration. Now, these will also show up in plant cells, but plant cells have a few organelles that you wouldn't expect to find in animal cells. For example, they have a cell wall, which is made of cellulose, a very strong structural polysaccharide. And inside, they have a large central vacuole. There are vacuoles inside animal cells as well, but they don't have this large water container. The central vacuole has so much water inside of it that it's putting pressure against all the other organelles and pushing against the cell wall. This creates turgor pressure, which is how herbaceous plants are able to stand upright. Plant cells also have some of the other organelles we're familiar with, but one of the things that they have that animal cells do not is chloroplasts. So plant cells have a cell wall, a central vacuole, and chloroplasts. Meanwhile, animal cells have lysosomes, centrioles, and sometimes flagella and cilia. A lysosome is a small membrane-bound vessel which carries around digestive enzymes, so it's like a floating stomach inside the cell. Meanwhile, cilia and flagella are for motion. Now, not all animal cells are going to have these, only the ones that actually need them. So sperm cells and certain cells on the lining of your intestines will have flagella and cilia, respectively. Prokaryotic cells can also have a cell wall and flagella, however, structurally they are very different from the animal and plant cells. Their cell wall is made out of a material called peptidoglycan, and their flagella are made out of single protein filaments called flagellin. Now, all cells have a cell membrane, DNA, and ribosomes, but the prokaryotes keep their DNA in what we call a nucleoid region. No container, just sort of floating around inside the cytoplasm in a big pile. Outside of the bacterial cell wall is another layer which we call the capsule. This is a sticky outer covering that allows the bacteria to attach to surfaces, and coming out of this capsule are often pili or fimbriae, which are finger-like structures that help it with that attachment process. And there you have it, 3 different cell types and their respective organelles. Now, one thing I didn't talk about too much was the cell membrane, which might get its own video.